Welcome to the broadcast. Thank you for joining. Should be streaming live now. I'm just double checking on the screen and it's validating the stream. So hopefully we are live. Welcome to the broadcast. It shows we're going live, so looks like everything is going good. So thanks for joining tonight. It's been a few weeks since I have done a live broadcast. My apologies. We are in my new studio here in my basement, and I jokingly refer to as deep in the heart of the Ozarks. I'm actually on the edge of the Ozarks, but we're still getting some of the lighting worked out. I know there's a couple of hot spots on the board. I did order a new wide-angle lens for my iPhone with a special filter that's supposed to take out some of the glare, but I can see there's still some glare there, so kind of work with me on that. I actually won't be writing on the board tonight because we do have some more preparation for that. So you can kind of see there's still some tape up on the board, but I'm excited. We've got a really nice big board that I can write on, and just excited about some of the things that we plan to do in the near future. So, and my little dog Lucy is crying up at the top of the steps. She's wanting to come down to be a part of the live broadcast, but unfortunately she's going to have to stay put. So, well, thanks again for joining. I want to kind of go out and unfortunately I'm not able to see any questions. So if you're typing in questions to me, I'll try to get to those later. Hopefully I can go out and look at those, but you can always email me or text me as well. Well, a couple of quick things just to kind of give you an update on where we're at with the school. First of all, thank you. We've had a lot of new students that have joined the course at the school over the last few weeks. Seems like every week we keep growing and growing, so I'm excited about that, and I thank you for that. The feedback has been very good, and this week, 2 days ago, I received the results of the pass rates for the Missouri real estate examination. I know we have people from Kansas and South Dakota on the call with us, but for Missouri, we received the pass rates for the month of August, and we were one of the top schools, so I was really excited about that. The state average pass rate was around 38%. I think it was 38 or 39. It was in the upper 30s for first-time attendees. So, I mean, it's a tough test, and I want you to know that. At Global Real Estate School, we were 58%. We were almost at 60% pass rate. And we had quite a few folks who took the test, so I was very excited about that. A lot of my competitors, unfortunately, were below the 38% pass rate for first-time examinees. So, you know, it's not where I want to be. I want us to be naturally at 100%. I'd love for us to be up in that 90 to upper 80 range, but, you know, to score that high and to be one of the top schools for the pass rates, I just want to reassure you that the information you have in your course is good information, and study it. I have put some tests and some different things in. I know one of the students had written me this week, and I kind of did put a disclaimer. She had a great suggestion because I have some new state questions when you finish the state material. And it's about a 2-hour examination. And she said, gosh, I wish I'd known that was going to take me 2 hours. Well, I do mention that, you know, verbally at the beginning of the first slide, but I did put a disclaimer in written format as well that, you know, allow yourself 1 to 2 hours. But I want you to know why I'm doing that is because I want you to pass the examination, number one, but number two, I realize it's a tough test. And I always remind people, you've got to study hard, and then you got to study a little bit harder, okay? Because it's a very, very tough test. But material's good. We're getting good pass rates. Just stay in there, keep studying, and you'll do very well. Now, I want to show you a couple of things very quickly, and I'm going to move out here to my iPad. And let's just kind of jump out here to my school, and I'm going to log in. I just want you to see a couple of quick things, and I'm going to switch to a learner view right here. And I want to, first of all, point out down here, all of you have what are called study sessions in your course module. If you do not have a study session, please let me know. Now, I do want to kind of show you a couple of items here. As you'll go through the study sessions, you'll notice that it begins with study session 1, Introduction to Real Estate, study session 2. Now, I do want to make mention for those of you from South Dakota, the South Dakota Real Estate Commission requires 116 hours to get your real estate license. I mean, it's a lot of material. And we do 100 hours online, and then you do 16 hours in class with my good friends Doug and Jeff Nelson at South Dakota School of Real Estate. So in order to do the 100 hours, you all actually watch Module 1, and then you have to watch this study session 1. And again, we do that in order for you to get the 100 hours. Now, I want to tell you this, South Dakota students, I'm actually thinking about making this a requirement for the other states, because Doug told me that the pass rates are so good. He said it's like night and day from when he just had the live class. And he said he was telling me how happy he and pleased he is with the pass rates. And everyone I have spoken to, and I'm sure there have been a few that haven't passed, but everyone I've spoken to, all of my students from South Dakota, passed the test on the first attempt. So you actually watch Module 1, and then you watch this study session 1. So what is study session 1? Well, if we clicked on this and we opened it up, it's actually me teaching the material from the book. And so if I always tell students who are a little bit, they kind of say to themselves, I don't know if I really want to go in a live classroom. I don't know if I want to go in an online classroom. I think I need a live environment. Well, the really cool thing about the study sessions is that you actually get to watch me teach the material as if I was in front of a live classroom. So these are here for you, and I'm going to come back and show everyone. They're here for everyone. And if you really want to pass the exam on the first attempt, I think you ought to watch these. Now, I don't make it a requirement for Kansas or Missouri. It is a requirement for South Dakota because of the number of hours that's required there. But if you're in Missouri or Kansas, these would be very beneficial to watch. These are free flow. You can go in and out, watch whichever one you want to. But basically, if you want to watch agency, you're watching me teach this in a live classroom setting. And I actually go through the entire chapter. Now, you can see here that this is why I'm building the studio here, because I'm going to do more of this on a weekly basis. Why? Because I want to have one of the best real estate schools out there. We're expanding into other markets. I know that there's a lot of competition out there, but I know that you as students, not everyone, but some of you, and even if there's only a handful, would like to have the ability to watch the instructor or watch me go through the course material and explain it to you and talk about it with you like we're going to do tonight. So, I just want you to know I'm putting a lot of effort and study in, and I'm really excited about it. I've got another part of the studio over here where I'll be doing a lot of my podcasts that we're doing with a bookcase and some things, and could show you that on another night. But anyway, and by the way, I haven't stood up, but I'll be able to stand here and I'll actually have my camera position, but I'll be able to write on the board and do some cool things like that. We have to give this one more coat of dry. Actually, we bought this from Menards, or you can buy it at Lowe's, but it's a dry erase paint. And so it actually has created a dry erase board here, and we'll have a frame put around it. And again, I'm going to try to work on the lighting to get a couple of these hot spots off of here, but hopefully that's not too distracting and everything will work good. But so anyway, back to the live study sessions. These are all of the chapters that you can go through if you need more help. Now, they're not required, but again, in South Dakota, they're really helping the students a lot. Now, down at the bottom, see these sessions at the bottom. And I've updated today. We've only done a couple this summer, and I realize it's summertime, but these, if you even go back here, like to January 25th, where I did a closing problem, if you're having trouble with closings, and you can see this is literally an hour and 30 minutes. And you may say, I don't know, John, if I want to watch an hour and 30 minute, I don't know if I want to watch an hour and 30 minute broadcast. Well, if you want to pass the real estate examination, you may want to watch some of these. These are very good. They will be helpful for you. And there's a lot of good information. So just wanted I wanted to point this information out here for you and show you that. And I don't know why that's not coming up, but I know that the video is there on all of these. So I'm going to exit out of here, and just remember at the bottom are all of our previous study sessions. A lot of math problems, but occasionally I'll dive into something else. And then tonight's episode, I'll put down at the bottom as well. And normally I try to cut out the middle, this introductory part, okay? So I wanted to show you this. Always go to the home button at the top left. If you go to the course library, you're not going to see all the courses you have. So just go up to the home button in the top left corner. You'll see your courses. Now again, I am, I have a lot of different courses that I'm testing, so you won't have some of these courses in here. The other interesting course that you have are called review modules. Let's pull those up real quick here. These are all of the chapters in what I call a free-flowing format, okay? So the review modules allow you to jump anywhere in the course material. In the normal course format, you have to follow a set procedure and you have to wait for the timer to finish in order to move on to the next slide. This is what we call freeform. The normal or regular course modules are locked. And we have to do that for the Real Estate Commission. Naturally, they don't want you just zipping through the course, okay? They want you to follow a timed procedure. So when you're in the main course and you do the first 3 or 4 modules, they're all timed. If you were to go back in to the main course, and I mentioned this in the introductory video, but I just want to point it out again. If you were to go back into the main course and want to rewatch module 3 or 2, and you've already completed it, you've got to watch the entire module. Sometimes I'll have a student who will accidentally go into a previous module and then they write me and they say, I've already done that. Do I have to watch that, I shouldn't say stinking module again, but they ask that question. Do I have to watch that module again? And the answer is yes, you would. Now, to avoid that, when you want to review, you simply want to go into the review modules, which is what I'm in now. Why? Because if I want to scroll all the way down here and just take these math problems, I can just jump right down and I can go anywhere in the course that I want to go. If I want to go back up here and say, you know what, I think I want to go through the flashcards again, you can go right up to the flashcards and go through those. So the review modules are what we call free form, or what I call free form. They are unlocked. You can move it around anywhere you want to in them. You could start from the first slide, jump to the review test at the end of the chapter. Now, you don't get credit for those. You have to go through the main 48-hour course, and it's timed, it's locked, but don't review in the 48-hour module, okay? Go to the review modules, which is what I showed you here. Now again, to go back to all your courses, go to the home key up in the top left, and that will take you out. Don't forget, we have practice exams, and here you can kind of jump around and go into any of the chapters you want to do practice tests. And I would encourage you to do these. So if you want to jump down and say, hey, I just want to go through legal descriptions, you're welcome to go right into the legal descriptions and start practicing there. I normally give you some tips, but those are all there, and I think they're good for you to take advantage of and go through. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of give you a heads up on a few items there and make sure that you were good to go and understood those. So I want to, and I just realized I did not bring my calculator over here, but I wanted to do a couple of math problems. But I think what we're going to do first is I want to show you an interesting place online that is free to some extent. And I thought we would go through some of these questions tonight, and I would kind of talk to you about those. And maybe we won't do any math tonight. We just won't worry about that, okay? So I'm going to jump back over to, let's see here. I'm going to jump over. I'm going to quit mirroring my MacBook. And I'm going to go back over here to my computer. And we will take a look at what I call a little place I found online that are called Quizlets. Let's see here. Screen was unflashed or unchecked here, so we'll pull this back up. So some of you may have found this. It's called Quizlet. You can subscribe to this for a small fee, but wanted to kind of go through and work on some of these cards. I just actually went up here to the search button and I typed in real estate, and it will give me a lot of little Quizlets. So on this example, we have 316 items. I'm going to pull this up for you, and we're just going to go through some of these together. Let's see. Go back over here. Here we go. I have a fly in my studio that is driving me crazy, but hopefully he'll leave us alone. So, okay. All right. So I cover Uncle Pete in the material. And remember that Uncle Pete is a brother or cousin to Uncle Sam. They're related, okay? Government. Think about government when you think of Uncle Pete. And so on this first question, wants to know, what does Pete stand for? Remember, Pete is an acronym, and they're all government-related items, okay? So let's go over these. Police power. What does that mean? And by the way, for some of you who haven't gotten to this information, that's okay. Hopefully you have a pen and paper handy and you're taking some good notes, okay? But we're going to talk about police power. We will talk about eminent domain. We will talk about taxation, and we will talk about escheat. So let's start with Pete. Make sure you have that written down. P-E-T-E. Police power. When we talk about Uncle Pete, let's back up first of all. Uncle Pete is Uncle Sam's brother, so that kind of ties in the government, relationship. And when you purchase real estate and you buy real estate, you actually own, remember from chapter 1, from the center of the earth to infinity. Remember that? So you own below the earth and above the earth. And now remember, you can sell your rights as well. I live near, you may remember the video from chapter 1, I live near the mines, the St. Joe mines. When St. Joe Minerals Corporation purchased this land, one of the original owners, they purchased all the land, they kept the mineral rights, and then they just sold the air rights and the surface rights. They didn't need those. They wanted to mine. And so, it was kind of a good gig, wasn't it? Let's buy the land. We'll have the minerals down below. We'll make money off that. Hey, and then we'll just sell the surface and air rights to the miners who are going to be working for us, and we'll just sell them little plots of land, and maybe we'll even finance it, and we'll make money off that. So they're making money down below and on top of the ground, right? And so when you buy property, you're buying to the center of the earth to infinity. You can sell the rights vertically or horizontally. All right, you can sell your mineral rights if you own those, or you could sell your air rights. Remember, a condominium, blocks of air, as we will talk about. So you own this property, it's yours. No one can tell you what to do with it except for Uncle Pete, okay? So what does Uncle Pete stand for? It's an acronym, and the P stands for police power, zoning laws, building codes. All of those would fall under the police power form of government. So, and those are normally, the word I'm looking for is, they're normally regulated or governed on a local level. However, you have some states like Florida and coastal areas where the state has some say-so in what you can do with property that is along the coastline. But normally you'll find police power activities on a local level, okay? Zoning falls right under police power. Then we have eminent domain. Eminent domain, I'll go back to that so you can see these. Eminent domain is the government's right to take private property for public use. What's that mean? We want to put a new highway in or a new road, and we need to go across your property in order to build this road. I don't want to sell my property. Well, that's tough. We think the road will be more beneficial for the public than for you. Therefore, we're going to condemn the property and take it through eminent domain. Now, it gets kind of confusing because condemnation is the process. Eminent domain is what we call it, okay? It's taking private property for public use. You see this a lot. They have to show three things if you want to write this down in your notes. Three things. This is like you've gone to class tonight, okay? So you're in the classroom, but you're at home, and I see like a half dozen people in their pajamas, and you really were supposed to dress up for tonight's class. No, I'm teasing you. I can't see what you're doing, okay? So don't worry. I'm just having fun with you. But you're in class tonight, so you need to take good notes, okay? It's like you've gone to class. So you have to know this for the exam. In order for eminent domain to take place, condemnation, that's the process. Eminent domain, taking private property for public use. Three items have to happen. Number one, it has to be for the good of the public. The government just can't come in and say, we want to take your property. There has to be a rationale that says, look, this is going to be better, by taking your property, the public will benefit from this, okay? I was a commissioner on a condemnation hearing, eminent domain, where the government was putting in overpass. And, looking back at it now, and none of those people wanted to sell their property. But the government had a rationale or a defense to say this overpass at this area will be for the good of the public. First of all, there was no overpass there, and I knew many people who were killed there. In fact, one of my good friends, his mother and father were in a horrible automobile accident pulling out on that highway, and his dad was killed in that intersection. I literally could justify or could say that I think that was for the good of the public. And looking back now, that intersection there it's much safer, saves a lot of time. It's very beneficial that they put that in. So good has to be for the good of the public, number one. Number two, there has to be what we call due process of law, okay? Due process of law. What do we mean by that, John? It just means the government couldn't come in and say, hey, Bob, we want to take your property, and 30 days later, it's the government owns it. When I mentioned that about the intersection, they had appraisals done by multiple appraisers. They had me and others assigned as commissioners who went out and looked at the property with the owners and their attorneys. This was a 1 year or longer process. The owners had the right to hire legal counsel. They had the right to go before a judge. They had the right to appeal or set hearings. There was what we call due process of law, just like you have with any court situation. You have the right to gather and do research and investigation and present your argument on why you believe the government shouldn't take your property. So, number one, just for the public, has to be for the public benefit of the public. Number two, due process of law has to, give you time to, get through all of this and figure it out. And number three, there has to be just compensation. Just compensation. In the overpass example, believe it or not, there was a split foyer home there that I could have purchased. It was for sale, and my wife and I actually almost purchased it for rental property. We had no idea they were planning that property would be included in this buyout for that intersection. Well, you could have bought this home for like $50,000. When the eminent domain, the condemnation suit was over with, the person who had purchased that tri-level split foyer home was paid $800,000. That's right, and that was probably 15 years ago, 20 years ago. So just compensation. Now that doesn't mean you're always going to get a windfall, but you know what? And all of those property owners, because I was a commissioner, I thought they all got a lot more than what their properties were probably valued. There was just compensation. Now let me say this. I know some of the people that sold their properties there, one family in particular, they had a business because it was a busy highway. They were putting this overpass in. They did not want to move their business. They had been there for years. Their home was there. And I remember him pleading and making an argument, we don't want to move. We like our location. We have a profitable business here. We've raised our children here. We have memories here. How can you put a value on that kind of, you can't. So just remember, eminent domain, 3 items, for the public good, due process of law, and just compensation. So eminent domain, that's when the government takes your property because they need to do something with it. That's Uncle Pete, right? Police power. Government says you can't have a beauty shop, Sharon, in your house because this is zoned residential. That's a form of police power. Remember, you own your property in fee simple. It's yours. Nobody can tell you what to do with it except for Uncle Pete. Police power, eminent domain. And then T is taxation. Let's go back over there. Taxation. And that's a pretty no-brainer. It's just the government's right to tax your property to help pay for the government services. Now the last one, and I hope that did not mess up our broadcast, and I apologize for that. Hopefully we're still going live, so I hope that did not mess anything up, but I should have put my phone on airplane mode, and I forgot to do that. The other day I was doing a live broadcast, and I got a phone call, and it just threw everything off kilter, so I'm going to go out and just take a quick look and make sure that we are still broadcasting live, and that did not, I think. So gosh, I think we're on. I think we're still going. Good. Okay. So so taxation, we know what that is. And then escheat, the last one, E-S-C-H-E-A-T, escheat. Escheat is when the government takes your property for private, or, and I'm looking here and it looks like there might be, I'm going to hit the pause button and come right back on. I think. Okay, so I'm hoping that we are broadcasting live and clear. Let me just double check one item real quick here. I think I know what the problem might be. I'm looking at one screen item and it just looks like the camera is not working correctly, so I may have to put that back on. Just give me one quick second here. Well, I'm going to keep going here. I think that we are still broadcasting live, and if we have messed up, I apologize, but I'm going to keep going and just believe that everything's doing okay. So, escheat is when you die without a will and without heirs. So I'm going to use my other camera, which is a little close up, I realize, but I like to kind of talk to the class and make sure you understand what I think is just a little better than you looking at a screen the entire time. So escheat, if you die without heirs, without a will, your property goes to the state. Now there's a question I have in your material, and this is why I say you have to know the definitions. It says a person died testate or intestate, and did not have a something else with it. It wants to know what happens to the property, and the answer is it escheats to the state. Why? Because there's words in the sentence or the question that refer to the fact that he died without a will, intestate. Testate, you die with a will. And so if you died and have no heirs, you died intestate, you had no will, and you had no heirs, your property would escheat to this state. So let's go back and look at that again. What does PEAT stand for? Police power, eminent domain, taxation, and escheat. Okay, so what is escheat? We've talked about that just a second ago, and it is dying with no will and no heirs, with the property being taken by the state government. Okay? So kind of keep that in mind there. Again, I'll go back to that. What is escheat? It is abandonment, dying with no will, no heirs, with the property being taken by the state government. Okay, how is the LTV calculated? Well, what is the LTV? You got to know this for the test, okay? So write this down. LTV stands for loan to value ratio, loan to value ratio. So I'm going to take a quick look here at how they calculate LTV. And it's the loan amount divided by the sales price or the appraised value. Let's actually work this on the iPad. So I'm going to pull this up, and we should see this very quickly here. So what is the loan to value ratio? A lot of times you'll see the loan, and by the way, LTV stands for loan to value ratio, okay? And a lot of times you might see an 80% LTV, 80% LTV. What that means, if the bank requires an 80% loan to value ratio, if you were borrowing if you were purchasing a home for $100,000, you would multiply it times 80%, and John always says move your decimal place over 2 places, so that would be 0.80. Now, what's our math symbol tell us to do with the T problem? Multiply. So 100,000 times 0.80 will equals 80,000. And this is our part. Remember, this is total, this is percent. Now we'll work a couple of more of these, but I want to point a couple of things out. What does the loan to value ratio mean? It means the bank will only loan you $80,000. They want you to put $20,000 down, or $20,000 in assets, because that could be in the form of another house. It could be in the form of a car. I actually saw a gentleman who actually put baseball cards up as his down payment. So in this example, you can see that $20,000 would be the down payment. So I'm going to just move over here and show you that 80% LTV, the bank's requiring 20% down. Okay? And that equals 100%. Now, one of the things we talk about on the exam, and I really hope I'm still broadcasting loud and clear, because I'm looking up here and I'm not seeing my slides moving on, and I really hate that. I could kick myself for not turning my phone off, and probably more aggravated. Somebody called me this late at night, but anyway, I'm going to just kind of get rid of some of this right here and just kind of explain a couple of more things to you here. We won't go a lot longer tonight, and I may do another one of these over the weekend as well. Normally, the bank wants 20% or more as your down payment, okay? Generally, they want 20% or more as a down payment. If you have less than 20%, say you only had 10% to put down, then you may have to put down or purchase what is called private mortgage insurance. Okay? That's private mortgage insurance. This insures the lender in case you were to default on the loan. Now, basically, if you don't have a lot of money invested, it's easier for you to walk away from a loan. And we've seen that. I've been in real estate 40 years now, and I've seen people who had very little invested. They get in a home. The next thing you know, they realize they have to replace the furnace. They have to replace the roof. It's kind of like a car. You think, oh gosh, I'm upside down in my car. It's not worth that much. And you say, you know what? We've only got $1,500 on an FHA loan invested. Let's just let the bank have it back. You don't want to do that. Unfortunately, people think that way. And so what private mortgage insurance does, it insures, you have to pay for that as a borrower. It insures the lender that if you were to walk away from the property, that if the lender cannot resell it and recoup their money, the insurance company will pay them the loss or the difference, okay? So that's what private mortgage insurance is. Now, let's go over here and let's do this T problem one more time. If I said to you that the lender required you to put $40,000 down and you were buying a home for $100,000, what would the loan-to-value ratio be? And in this case, since we have one at the top and one at the bottom, our math tells us to divide. Okay? So 40,000 divided by 100,000 should give us 0.60 or 60%. Okay? So just wanted to work a couple of those problems for you. And I'm going to stop mirroring here and we'll come back over here and do a couple more because it's already 9:43. So the next one, what is eminent domain? We talked about that. The government taking private property for public good. This little Quizlet area has some good things for you to review. Naturally, you want to stay in the material that I have, but it's not a bad place for you to go out just to kind of review some of the information from time to time. What does a title insurance policy list? Well, it's all recorded defects against the title. It just covers issues that have been recorded. So if there's something that hasn't been recorded, that will not follow up. A couple more. What does a standard title insurance policy insure against? Any recorded title defects or liens. Now keep in mind, title insurance does not cover survey issues unless you add that rider. If you add that rider, they're going to require you to get a recorded survey. But it's only title insurance, is only covering those recorded defects and liens that are recorded, and they're only going to cover you for the amount of your title insurance policy. So keep a couple of those items in, make sure you understand that. Want to go past an abstract. is different than a title insurance because it's really the history of all the recorded documents that affect the title. It's not really insuring anything. It's just giving you the history of the abstract of the property. A survey, what is a survey? It finds boundaries and checks for encroachments. There's a question on the test that says, if you want to find out about encroachments, what do you have to get? A survey. A survey will uncover encroachments. Okay, so keep that in mind. And then we have chain of title. It's a list of all owners. Again, it's not insuring anything. And what is a special assessment tax and what happens if it's not paid? Well, a special assessment is a real estate tax, and if it's not paid, the property could be auctioned off. Okay? Now, keep in mind, a special assessment is similar to a real estate tax. So we have that ad valorem, remember that? According to value. What's interesting about a special assessment is that you're going to pay according to how it benefits your property. Now, some special assessments could be for a swimming pool for this community. They could be for sewer lines, water lines, but they could also be for sidewalks or curb and guttering. So if you were on a corner lot and there was a special assessment in the neighborhood, the person on the corner lot may pay more special assessment for the curb and guttering and the sidewalks than other lot owners. Why? Because they benefit more. The curb and guttering and the sidewalk actually goes across the front and down the side. So a special assessment, it's real estate tax, you got to pay it, and don't forget, ad valorem according to value. And there is that word, what is ad valorem? And it is according to value. So it is a tax whose amount is based on the value of the transaction. If you'll just write in your notes according to value, John said the person who owns $1 million home will pay more taxes than a person who owns a $50,000 home. It's according to value. You're going to pay tax on the value of the transaction of the property. Okay? So just keep that in mind. And what are ad valorem taxes for? They're just general taxes. They're not special assessments, but they are general taxes. And the other thing about special assessments is that they can be for a certain number of years. I was a city alderman for a few years in the city of Deloge, Missouri. If you want to do something really creative and fun, open your own business, which I have my own real estate company, and then be a local government official. Hey, that's you're having fun now. So, it's like we would have people come who would complain because they never saw the dog catcher. And at the same meeting, we would have people complain that the dog catcher was out too much. So you can't please everybody. But, I wanted to just mention we imposed a special assessment for some people who just were begging for sidewalks and gutters and storm sewers in their subdivision. And so we said, we can do it, but we'll probably have to do a special assessment. Well, they all agreed to it. And what I wanted you to understand here is that they didn't have to pay for this the rest of the, it was whatever the cost was and the amount, and we figured out what the owner's payment would be. Many of those owners, most of those owners only had to pay for 10 years, and it was paid for. So just remember, a special assessment doesn't go on indefinitely. Once that special tax has been used and paid, it's over with. Okay? Okay, one more, and we're gonna call it quits here for the night. Let me find one that's good. Well, what word describes this cheat? We could do that. Abandonment. I think that's a good word. Yeah. And what does TAR stand for? Tax assessed value rate as a whole. I've never seen that on the examination, so we'll do this final one. An estate is, for those of you who are new in the class, don't worry, it's the right of ownership. An estate is the right of ownership. Well, I hope I have been broadcasting live these last few minutes, and I will send the recording out to everyone here shortly. Be sure and check your email. Hopefully that my email didn't jump in your spam box from Infusionsoft. If it did, let me know, and also mark it not to be spam email. But if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm always here to help you out. I want to help you pass the test on the first try. And you can always text message me. You can call me. Hey, I'll answer my phone and we can talk, and I'd love to help you with that as well. I really appreciate your business. Thanks for your referrals and telling other people about Global Real Estate School. Keep studying hard, and it's going to be a hot weekend, so you can stay in and study. And reach out to me if you have any questions. Have a great day, and I will talk to you soon.